If you decide to work with a financial planner or financial advisor, the person or firm that you choose to work with can make a big difference. As a financial advisor myself, I can tell you that we've had clients come to us from other firms who have worked with other advisors that have had a really poor job done for them in managing their own finances. And I'd be lying if I didn't admit that my firm has lost a handful of clients over the years to other financial advisors and other companies for some things that maybe they were doing better than we were at the time. There are a lot of variables to consider in this decision, so here's an honest review of the main things you definitely want to avoid when choosing a new financial planner to start with. Proprietary investment products, or similarly, investment products that all share the exact same name. That name may not necessarily match the name of the company that your advisor clears through, but it could be a subsidiary of the company that they clear through. Anytime an advisor is using a lot of the same products, you see a lot of the same names on your statement, that generally means that they're not making unbiased recommendations for you. Just think about this logically. If you had to build a portfolio of, let's say, 10 different asset classes, you want to know that your advisor is looking out there in the investable universe and determining something like investment ABC is the single best option in the large cap growth category, for example, and investment XYZ is the single best option in the high yield bond category, for example. If they have 10 options across a portfolio and all those options are from the exact same fund company, what are the odds that one fund company actually dominates every single asset class in terms of performance? I'll give you the answer. The answer is 0. There is no chance of that ever happening. It never has happened. It never will. So you need to watch out for the same name over and over on your account statement. And it's not that using one company is necessarily a bad thing. Hopefully, if they're making biased investment recommendations towards a certain fund family, they're choosing a good one. But it does show one of two things. Your advisor is either being A, lazy because they are familiar or friendly with one fund company and they don't want to put in the work to analyze all the other potential investment options for you, or B, they're being compensated unfairly by that fund company, and that's the worst of the two options because that means your advisor is basically taking pay behind the counter to put your money into certain funds that aren't necessarily the most profitable or the lowest risk options that you could be using in your portfolio. Actually, the Department of Labor and FINRA have a joint law that says that in a discretionary investment model, meaning one that your financial advisor is managing by themselves, they can make trades whenever they want, they don't have to contact you to do that. When an advisor or planner is managing a discretionary account like that, it is actually illegal for them to use proprietary products of their own firm. There are a few reasons for that law, but it illustrates the point that you probably don't want your financial planner or financial advisor trying to sell you proprietary or similar products. The next one is certain investments that may come with some sort of a maturity schedule or holding period that you have to meet before you can get your money back. Some of these options that have minimum holding periods or maturity schedules aren't necessarily bad choices, but in most cases, these types of products will have pretty high fees that you can't actually see, so they're kind of hidden from you, and also pretty high commissions that the financial advisor or financial planner is getting paid for selling you these products.
I know what you've been looking for, and you are really in luck.
So think about it from the company's perspective who is packaging these financial products and having advisors sell them to clients. If I can find some financial advisor to get all their clients to lock up their money in my company's investment products on which I'm charging them fees for say 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years in a row, then I'm going to be real happy about that, and I'm probably going to be paying some fat commissions over to the financial advisor, and that's typically what happens with these things. Be especially aware of certain bank products like CDs and in some cases annuities, because those are the two classic examples again of what can really lock your money up and really just be pushing big commissions over to your financial advisor. The rationale here all falls into the same category as the first issue we talked about, which is that it's going to create a conflict of interest, and your financial planner or financial advisor is not necessarily going to be giving you unbiased recommendations and scouring the investment universe for the best possible investment for you to make, but rather they just got sold something from someone who bought them lunch and said, hey, you're going to get a 6% commission if you sell this, so they're just going to push it off onto you. The next potential problem surrounds the decision that a lot of people are faced with at some point in their lives, which is investing money versus paying down debt that they have. And this potential conflict of interest is kind of unique because it's maybe the only one that can exist for even financial advisors who call themselves fee only and are always considered fiduciary advisors. This rule will still apply with them. You need to be really careful of advisors who are almost always or all the time telling you that you should just invest your money in the markets and you should never be paying down your debt. This decision that a lot of people are faced with is maybe the only thing that I admire Dave Ramsey for, because he's done a really good job of encouraging thousands and millions of people to focus on paying down debts rather than investing their money early.
Well, what I would suggest you do is Let's just increase your income and get these debts cleaned up as fast as possible.
As a side point, Dave Ramsey has gone personally bankrupt twice, which maybe tells you why he's so interested in people paying down their debts, but it still can be a good option sometimes to focus on paying down debt, especially when it's a high interest rate debt, rather than investing that money. Now, don't get me wrong here, I'm a really big fan of people being able to utilize really low interest rate loans to minimize current payments so that they can maximize their retirement account savings. But this rule doesn't apply in every single situation. So if you're working with a financial advisor and every time this conversation comes up, maybe you're thinking about doing a Roth IRA contribution or something, and they always go, no, just throw your money into the market, and they're not putting much thought into potentially paying off a student loan balance or a credit card balance that you may or may not be carrying, they are probably interested in increasing the amount of money that they are managing for you and billing you on, rather than deciding what's in your best interest. Sometimes paying down those debts can be. You want someone who's going to make an unbiased recommendation towards you for that. The next one's going to be a bit subjective, and so certain people may or may not perceive other people to come off this way. But you should be cautious of financial advisors or financial planners who constantly try to make themselves sound smart and in a certain way try to make you feel like you're less smart than them. There are many different forms that this can take. If your financial advisor is using a lot of big words that are really just confusing you, if they're trying to act superior in how they manage finances or just how they are as a person relative to you. There are a couple other specifics there, but in general, if you leave a meeting with your financial planner or financial advisor and you feel lesser than when you came in, or certainly lesser than them, or they made you feel ignored or like your opinion didn't matter or you had dumb questions, any of those things are a pretty good signal that your financial advisor may be dealing with some sort of an ego crisis. And a lot of times that can happen when they aren't actually really confident in what they're doing behind the scenes, and that can stem from them actually being incompetent and not knowing what the best options are for you out there, or not being sure how to answer a certain question that you asked. And rather than just being honest and saying, hey, I don't know, let me get back to you, they try to make up some answer and then have to build their own ego up to sound smarter again. They use big words that you're obviously not going to follow because you're not someone who works in the finance industry. In my opinion, all those things are signs that you don't have a good financial advisor. And there are much better financial advisors out there. Trust me, I know I've heard many of them speak that do a great job of encouraging clients, educating clients, and making clients feel good about making smart financial decisions, rather than doing the opposite of all those things. Your relationship with your planner or advisor should really be that of like a trusted mentor that you feel like you can tell anything to, and you know that they're not going to judge you or put you down. If you're someone who has preconceived ideas about what financial decisions you want to make, they may disagree with you. You're not always guaranteed to see eye to eye with your advisor. I've certainly had disagreements with clients, but you should feel educated on why they think or why they're telling you to do a certain thing. And then you should feel good after leaving that meeting, having made a decision, whether if you went with what they said to do, you know why it's the better option, or if you went with what you originally wanted to do, you understand where they were coming from and you know why you choose not to do that and why you think your option's better. Whatever it is, it shouldn't be a negative experience for you. In a similar light, you probably want to avoid financial advisors who aren't asking many questions about you. This can just be another tell that they're not actually that good of a financial advisor. They really don't know what they're doing. Take it from my experience, a good financial planner or financial advisor is going to spend at least 50%, if not the majority of the time of the meeting, asking you questions about yourself, about things you want to accomplish, about your past and where you want to be in the future, rather than rambling on and on about things that they know or things that they've seen or investments they really like or whatever else they might be interested in themselves. The meeting should be about you, you're the client, and honestly, they need to know as much about you as possible to make the most informed recommendations to you. I recently won a new client relationship in which they interviewed 3 other financial advisors before meeting with me, and 5 minutes after they got off the phone with me, they sent me an email and said, hey, we were really impressed. We're convinced we certainly want to work with your firm. And it was because I was focused on them and what they want to accomplish themselves rather than telling them about the grand investment products that my firm can sell to them, which is what I think the 3 other advisors did. That just illustrates the fact that a better financial planning service is geared towards you, the clients, rather than investments or product options. The next one is maybe the most common issue that we see amongst clients who decide to come start working with us, and that's that they don't know how their old advisor is being compensated. Like we talked about earlier on here in the video, there can be major conflicts of interest when it comes to compensation, specifically through certain commissions or backdoor payments that all too often exists in the financial advice industry. Even for clients who are having their accounts managed in what I would consider more of a fiduciary management style, which is through an advisory-based fee, also called a management fee or wrap fee, which is like 1% of the account value per year or something like that. A lot of them just don't know what their fee is. A lot of advisors don't like to talk about it. From the client's perspective, I realize it might not necessarily be fun to talk about fees because you know your advisor is getting paid somehow, and you know it's probably not a small amount of money, so maybe you just don't want to know how much you're actually giving to them if your account's up 6% or 10% this year or whatever, but it is certainly an important conversation to have. Believe me here, if your advisor does not review or is not actively talking with you about the fees in your accounts and the total fees that you're paying, it's because they're trying to avoid that conversation because they think they're probably more expensive than the rest of the marketplace. Or it means they sold you an A-share mutual fund and they earned a 6% rip off of you when you put your money into that and they don't want to tell you about it. That's just a really bad scenario to be in. So it's very, very important when working with a financial advisor to totally understand how that person is compensated. The last area is a big one, and I can just tell you that knowing what I know now, if I was someone who later in life wanted to start working with a financial advisor, I would certainly not work with anyone who doesn't own a boat. Owning a boat is probably the best measuring tool of success, right? Because boats are expensive. So if they only have a 30-foot boat, they're probably only 30% as successful as other financial advisors. 50-foot boat, they're only half as successful. Really, once you start talking to advisors who are in the 70, 80, 90-foot yacht category, you know that they're mostly successful in their careers. And that's what you're looking for, right? Because you don't want to work with a loser.
I had the whole front extended in order to fit the chopper up there. See that?
So when you're interviewing financial advisors, definitely ask about how big their boat is. If it's less than 60 feet, they are definitely a loser. They're not doing good by their clients. They're not making a lot of money. If they were, they definitely would have already invested into a boat, because that would also show that they're smart with their own money, because boats are notoriously very good investments, really low maintenance costs, and their value will appreciate pretty significantly over time. You just have to be able to show a lot of the cash up front. And so if they're a loser financial advisor and they're not making huge rips off their clients, they're probably only making 100 grand a year. They're not going to have a 90-foot yacht. If they're a really successful financial advisor and they're calling clients 16 hours a day, selling them the hottest penny stocks that just hit the market, making 6% rips and doing lines of coke all day long, they're gonna have a 90-foot yacht filled with smoking hot babes, lots of cocktails, lots of cigars, lots of success. And so that is really one of the primary things I would be looking for in a financial advisor. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I'd probably walk into their office, sit down in the chair, they'd probably start talking, I say, hey, shut your mouth before you say anything else. Tell me, how long is your boat? And if the answer is not longer than 70 feet, I'd say, thanks for your time, but you've wasted mine. I'd get up out of the chair, turn around, and walk right out the front door that I just came in. It's just not going to be worth spending 60 minutes of your life talking to someone who doesn't have a big yacht. If you've gotten to this point in the video, I really appreciate it. YouTube loves the long watch times in terms of total minutes watched and just a percentage of the video. If you could also like this video and subscribe if you haven't already done both of those really help the channel out as well. You can support me on any third-party websites. I have a few links in the description down below to check out some content there. And as always, thanks for watching.